Okay, so now we are going to talk about how you analyze the literature. So I think that this process has 4 sub-processes that include reading, coding, themes, and map. If you think about it, when you did this, you already did most of the reading and also most of the coding because you already created your Excel table. So it might seem like you did a lot of work because you did, but you are almost done or you advanced a lot because the reading and the coding are almost done. So these first 2 processes are more like thinking backwards, like thinking when you were reading, these strategies are relevant for when you were reading. So let me talk a little bit about the what I mean with analyzing the literature, and then I start with these 4 sub-processes and strategies on how you can improve. So first, when you analyze the literature, again, you have to be transparent about how you analyze the literature. Like, so to do that, you have to document how you analyze the literature, because later you report on how you do it. Also, it's an analysis, it's not a description again, and this is very difficult, or not difficult, it's just that it's different. It's not description. You're not just saying pluck, pluck, this is this. It again is the same thing, like this incorporates this notion and it creates this new issue, and it creates this, and from this we move to this other issue. It's much more complex than just this is this is this is it. It's much more complex. So when you do the analysis, you need to focus and reflect on how do they define the concepts, because those are things that you can exploit. What is the focus of that study, a process or an outcome? Do they incorporate, do they ignore something that then you can build that argumentation in there? Do they exploit the context? Again, think about these kind of things when you do the analysis. So now let's go to the strategies, and I will start with the ones that you will probably be using in here: reading and coding. So let's start with reading. So this is, of course, the first stage when you analyze, to read. But while you read, don't passively read, because you will forget. I'm sure if you read 42 papers, you won't remember all of them. So you need to document what you read. So write. That's why I say that it's very important that you have your Excel with what is this paper about. I think in coding, I give more examples. What things that you need to write about each of the papers. When you read, where should you focus? Focus on aspects that you care about. That's another thing. You don't have to read everything. That's maybe some supervisors will hate me, but you don't, in practice for a thesis, you don't have to read everything. Maybe you care about the outcome, so then you go straight to the findings and then report on the findings in there in your table, because you only care about the outcome of that specific paper, because that paper talks about the concept that for you is an outcome, so then go straight to that. Or maybe you care about the definition, like family firms. You're struggling about defining what is a family firm, so then you can go directly to that paper that talks about definitions of family firms, and then you can unpack how they define family firms, and then you don't have to read everything else. Maybe that's the case. So you ideally, if you have time, you should read everything, but if not, focus on the important things that you care about. Another important thing is that highlight what is different and what is similar to others, because when you write, you have to write. You can't just put the Excel table in your thesis and goodbye. You can't do that. You have to write a coherent text. So it is very useful if you identify similarities and differences, because maybe you can group, like, which papers talk about the public sector digitalization, technological issues, this paper. So then you write a paragraph only in that topic, right? So then it's clearer. Which papers talk about digitalization in accounting through the organizational perspective? This one. So then you have a paragraph about it. So find similarities and differences to kind of, later it will be useful. And then in terms of the coding, because coding is very important and it will help you, because otherwise you get lost. So in Excel, try to have, as I said before, like some columns with these things in here. Of course, the name of the paper, the name of the author, the year, blah, blah. But the topic is very important. The methods and type of research, like if it is a survey, if it is archival data, if it is a case study, which is a methodology or the method, we'll talk about that, of course, later. If it is empirical or conceptual. About the sample also, like where did they do the study? Is it from the US, from China, from Europe? Where is it from? When did they do it? Also, very useful, which are the research questions? That will be very useful because then you can group on research questions. That's interesting. The findings is super important. What did they find? Their contributions. They contribute to which discussion? Did they contribute to the discussion on technology and digitalization, or is the contribution on the structure of the organization, or is actually their contribution on a way to kind of mediate between these two worlds? Also out theories, because sometimes there are very good papers that contribute or advance a theory about like top management team diversity. Maybe that's the theory they contribute or they talk with. So maybe you can also talk about theories. So after that, when you have that, probably if you finish Prisma, you probably are here after the coding. You already have your Excel. Now you need, as I said, to make it a coherent text. You can't just drop your Excel file and put it in the thesis. You have to create a text. So from the topics and the elements of your code, you can identify themes. So as I said, maybe you will find certain papers that talk about digitalization in public sector that have the focus on the technology. So then that is one theme, the technology, okay? And then you also have some that are about the organizational structure. That is also very good. So as you can see, you have different themes that you will find, like maybe a group of papers, another group of another papers, blah, blah, blah. As you can see, this is another example, right? Like in the topic of financing new ventures through cryptocurrencies, we have the financial aspect, the technology aspect, the regulation aspect. So you have different papers in these themes. So identifying these themes is critical, because what you will probably do is that you will write your literature review on these themes. Those will be like part of your literature review. Like you'll have literature review on cryptocurrency adoption in new ventures, and then you will have one part about financials, one part about technology, one part about regulation. Okay, so that's why themes are very important. And finally, and you, of course, you will write it like that. You will write your report on this topic. So you will write, what about financial? That can be like a subsection, like the financial aspects about cryptocurrency use, blah, 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 blah. All of this from the papers that you found in that group. Then the technology, blah, 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 about the papers that you have from the technology. And then that's actually your literature review. That is your literature review. You start with cryptocurrency, the big topic, cryptocurrencies in new ventures. And then you mentioned that from the literature, there are these themes that are important: financial, technology, regulation. So after that, then this is a suggestion that I think is very useful. The last step is that you can do your own map. It goes back also to what we talk about the problematization, but you can prepare or you can create a map that is based on the theory, on the literature, and it has the themes that you identified from. And here, of course, you have many papers inside. So then you say, this framework is the framework that I am going to use to do my study. I am going to study a real life organization that uses crypto funding, and I will research for technology aspects that you already discussed in your literature review. So you will say, technology aspects include investments, include training, include this and this. So inside of this, there is a lot of conceptual issues and regulation as well. And if you want, you can make it even better, because maybe these seem like they are a bit disconnected, but maybe you want to connect them. So then you can also use like a line in here. So you complicated it a bit more, however you think it works better. So this is a good idea, because visually you finish with how the literature looks like. It's like a map of the literature. So I think that is the end of the analysis of the literature. Let's see, it's in here. The next step is that I will conclude by telling you how it looks like in the thesis, which is basically writing the report. So I will finish the video in here, and the next is that we conclude the analysis.